Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peter Likes Books. Because I do. I love books. And last week, I did a review of the April book for Peter's Book Club, which was Listen to the Lie by Amy Tintera. And so today, I wanted to do a review of the March books, because in March, I actually chose 2 books to read, and let me get in. My Goodreads is always so slow. Is your Goodreads slow? I love Goodreads so much, but it's always so slow when it's like pulling up books. So the 2 books for the March book club, for Peter's Book Club in March, were The Firm by John Grisham, and then the follow-up, which just came out, which is called The Exchange. I was in Miami, and I listened to both of those on Audible. And so let me go in here and read you the synopsis about these, and then I'll kind of give you guys a rundown of what I thought about it. If you read them, please put it in the comment section below and let me know what you thought about these books. Okay, before I get into this, actually, I probably should share this. Back in the day, I used to read, yes, actually read, you know, out of a physical copy book, not just listen to it on Audible. I know some people have issues with that for some reason. I read for enjoyment, so I don't really care if I listen to it, I read it, or it's a graphic novel. To me, it's all just taking in the same information, but some people get real bent out of shape about that. So, anyway, but back in the day, I went through a period where I read a lot of John Grisham books. I read The Street Lawyer and a lot of them. I thought I had read The Firm back then. I'm not so sure I did, or if it's been so many years that I just don't remember it. But when I read it this time, I really did not remember a lot of it. And I think a lot of what I remembered came from the movie. But then after I finished it, and then I watched the movie that night while we were in Miami, and then the next day I started The Exchange, which is the sequel to it that just came out. And I didn't really remember much of the movie either. So I will talk about the movie as well. So let's get in here. And The Firm, which came out, and does it say on here when it came out? It's pulling it up. Okay. The Firm came out in 1997. It's 448 pages, and this is the synopsis. At the top of his class at Harvard Law, Mitch McDeere had his choice of the best firms in America. He made a deadly mistake. For a young lawyer on the make, it was an offer Mitch McDeere couldn't a position at a law firm where the bucks, billable hours, and benefits are over the top. It's a dream job for an up-and-comer if he can overlook the uneasy feeling he gets at the office. Then an FBI investigation into the firm's connections to the mafia plunges this straight and narrow attorney into a nightmare of terror intrigue, with no choice but to pit his wits, ethics, and legal skills against the firm's deadly secrets, if he hopes to stay alive. So, the first half of the book, maybe the first third of the book, is really like the setup. And it was rather boring, if you want to know the truth. I mean, if I read that today, if I read it today, didn't want to go back and read this book that came out that was so famous back in the day, and it was just a new book out, I probably would have DNF'd it at, I don't know, the 20-minute mark, because it was so much about him getting out of law school and picking a city and going to the city, and he and his wife, being, courted by the law firm and things like that. The third of the book is about him starting at the law firm and really working hard, and it causing problems between him and his marriage, and then, the setup of the firm to, own him. They take him on this trip to Grand Cayman and all this kind of stuff, and he has this affair, a one-night stand affair, and it's the setup, so they own him, right? And then the third part is where he figures everything out, and he works with the secretary, who's also the girlfriend of this private investigator that's been killed by the firm, and he works with her to basically take down the firm, and he's also working with the FBI, but at the end of it, he kind of screws both of them over. The ending of it is fantastic. So the last 2/3 of it, I really enjoyed, especially the last third. I mean, it is really it is a thriller at best. The last part of it is so thrilling and so good, and it ends up with them on this small island outside of Grand Cayman, which I thought was kind of an interesting pick. They did it because of some people that they knew there through Grand Cayman and stuff, but they're on Cayman Brock or something like that, and I thought it was kind of a weird choice. I don't know if anybody else thought this, that the firm had so much business in Grand Cayman, and I know why they picked it, because the money and all that kind of stuff, but they're so close there that there would be possibly people in Grand Cayman that knew them that could pick them out. It's strange to me that they didn't go to St. Bart's or Nevis or St. Croix or St. Martin or something like that. They were right next to where most of the story took place. So that's how The Firm, the book, ended. And he gets his brother out of prison, and stuff like that, and his brother's on the boat at the end and all this kind of stuff. And they live on the island and whatever, and they go on this boat. So that's how The Firm, the book, ends. And I loved the book. I thought it was great. How many stars did I give it? I gave it 4 stars. Because it did feel a little bit dated. So then I watched the movie that night, which is with Tom Cruise, and Holly Hunter, who I love, plays the girlfriend, the secretary of the PI that he works with. The movie is completely different than the book. The story is the same about this firm that's working with the mafia. I think it's out of Chicago. And they're like doing, like, the firm has all of these people that, like, they're basically doing just like running paperwork to make it look like they're doing a lot of billable hours and stuff like that. But it's really not like real work. I mean, it is, but it's not. The money that they mostly make is by basically like money laundering for this mafia group and all these other people that they're supporting and things like that. And so when you're a partner in this, you're part of that, and you know that. And so the reason the FBI comes to Mitch McDeere is because they want to get to him before he becomes a partner, before he gets into it, because once he's a partner, then he's part of it, right? And so Mitch doesn't really have an option, and so he like says he's going to like work with the FBI for a certain amount of money. At the end of the book, he ends up stealing the money from the firm and also taking the money from the FBI. And so he leaves with like $10+ million or something like that. The movie, it's not, he leaves with like $1 million or something like that, or $2 million. I can't remember how much it is. They don't like do it like that in the movie. And the movie is completely different. Like the book, there's all this stuff that happens, staying in hotel rooms and like taking this person down, and the wife is working. I mean, they show parts of it, but really the movie is completely different. I thought the movie was not good at all compared to the book. I was really, really surprised because like The Client, which I think I read back in the day, I love the movie. The Pelican Brief, I'm not sure if I read it, but I think I did. I love the movie as well with Julia Roberts and Denzel Washington, Susan Sarandon's in The Client. So I thought I would love the movie. I really didn't like it that well. But I was very excited to read The Exchange because I thought it's going to pick up with them being like in the Caribbean and them still on this boat. And I thought it would be something like, I mean, I kind of wondered how it was going to start. And I was like, I have a feeling it's going to be something like his wife's family is sick, and so they get called back home, and so he has to go back home, and then he's spotted, and they're like on the run again. That's what I was really hoping for. That's not what I got. The Exchange is now Mitch McDeere, and it's been like 15 years, and he and his wife have small kids, I think twin boys, and they're living in New York City, and he works for this very, very exclusive law firm, and they don't even really, I mean, at one point, kind of like, I would say like 100 pages in, they kind of go in and explain that like they lived in the Caribbean and they got tired of that, and then they went through Europe, and they ended up staying in this house in the south of France, and then they like met this guy that worked for this law firm, and that's how Mitch ended up working for this law firm. He became friends with this guy, and then like the whole thing, and then his wife is now like, she's like putting together this cookbook or something like that. The whole thing is just, I don't know. But anyway, the story is about the fact that this law firm represents somebody in, I think it's Libya. And so there's this like whole transaction that's supposed to be going on. And then this guy who, I think it's his daughter, or like he mentors this woman. I think it's his daughter. She like goes there to meet with Mitch in Libya, and then Mitch is supposed to go, but he gets sick to like go to like the site where like this wall is going to be built and all this kind of stuff. And he's supposed to go that day, but he gets sick, and so she goes and she gets kidnapped. So the whole thing is about her being kidnapped by these Libyan terrorists, and how they're like doing this negotiation, and then they have to hide the wife and the family at this billionaire's house out in the middle of nowhere, which I never understood why they didn't just ask this billionaire for the money, because they were asking for like such and such amount of money, and none of these partners would put any money in to get the woman out. It was like, I think it was like $20 or $30 million. I can't remember how much they wanted, but his wife was used because she was like the person that was communicating. And so, I don't know. It just was not what I wanted at all. I was so bored with it. What did I end up giving it? If I gave it 4 stars, I will be really surprised because I was so bored of it. I gave it 3 stars. Yeah, it was bad. It was not what I expected at all. I was like really, really looking for more of like the Mitch McDear. I mean, they say his like brother is working, I think he's like working in Key West or something like that, they say, and they don't really follow up at all on Holly Hunter's character. Like, I wanted them to be part of this as well, and like the four of them had been like on the run ever since like they took off and all this kind of stuff. There's none of that. It's really not that exciting of a book. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, this came out last year, so it's been like 20 years, 20 some years, 25 years or something like that, that people have been waiting for the sequel to The Firm and tell Mitch McDear's story afterwards, and like, this is what we get. I was so bored of it. I literally listened to it on the beach in Miami, and I was like, oh my god, I'm so ready just to listen to some music. This is so bad. It is so bad. I mean, there are so many like meetings and dinners in this book. Like, there's not really anything about where they go and what they do and all this kind of stuff. It just was boring. It was so boring. And a couple years ago, I read the John Grisham, here, it's Camino Winds, I think it is. And I actually liked it. It was a Camino Winds and then a Camino Island or Camino Winds. There was like a follow-up to it. And it was about a guy that had stolen, I think it was like the original copy of J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye. Was that what it was? It was something like that from like Harvard Library, and then was like selling at this bookseller in like this Camino Island. And then the follow-up to that was Camino Winds or something like that. And it was like, it was really good. Like, it picked up right where it left off and kind of like told the story of what had happened since then. This was not that. This could have been completely a standalone. And I think part of the reason why he did this was because so many people probably didn't remember The Firm or didn't go in and read The Firm again like I did and we did for the book club. And so I think he was like, okay, I got to do something that if they just read it and they never read The Firm or they don't remember The Firm, then it can be a standalone. And it is that, but it was boring. It was a washed over version. I mean, it fell so short, and I was like, people waited 25 years that are John Grisham fans for this. This was not it. So I was really disappointed in those. So let me know what you think if you read those in the comment section below. The movie sucks. It was horrible. With Tom Cruise. It was really, really bad. But anyway, I mean, if you read the book, the movie is horrible. The book, the Firm, the original one, yes, I liked it. I mean, it wasn't the greatest book in the entire world, but it was a good thriller. I think the four instead of 5 stars for me was that the first third of it was completely dedicated. I mean, it's so long about like, oh, they went out to dinner and blah, blah, blah. And then the second part was like, do we have any, like, can we hear them? Like, what's his wife saying? Like, then you started figuring out that they were like trying to catch him. That's when the book got kind of like interesting and exciting. But I think in today's time with like thrillers, like I'm so used to thrillers like getting right into it that I don't need a third of the book setting up the book. Like I want a thriller to get right into it. And then I watched the movie and I was like, damn, this is we don't need an exchange. John, we don't need an exchange movie, okay? We just don't. It wasn't that great of a book. So anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.